Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Belichick's Bitches podcast, the number one podcast in the world by some sort of metric, using the best source, the only source. Do you trust me? I'm your host, Brennan, and along with me, as always, is my co host, Tyler.
Yes. This week of football was just amazingly, beautifully, just terrible.
And we're about
I
to
think
get
you have
into
to.
another week of football here in a few hours.
Actually, yeah, the Titans and Colts play tonight.
In less than an hour.
Interesting. Yeah. Just a crappy week of football, and it started off with just a glorious Thursday night game of Packers playing the injured squad.
Yeah, the
The
49ers
IR
practice squad.
team. The 49ers need to rename their team the San Francisco Injured Reserve because that was a bad joke. I'll make myself for that. All right.
I make them all the time, but I'm proud of them, so I don't know why you're egging on yourself for a bad joke. I'm literally the king of bad jokes on this podcast.
And to no one's surprise, the Packers offense just demolished them
Yes.
because, well, yeah. I mean, it was so bad I didn't even watch the second half. It wasn't even really worth watching.
No, it wasn't.
But the only thing that really came out of it that I think is worth talking about, though, is Devontae Adams. Okay.
He's been
I know
this year.
neither of us were very high on him when we were doing the position ranking, and I guess that just
you
shows
had
how
him
much
at number 10, and I had him just outside
you had
the
him
top
off. You had him off the list, yeah.
Yeah.
It just shows how much clowns we are because, of course, this season, at least in my opinion, he's looked like the best receiver in the league.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Julio,
one of the best.
Julio is kind of playing. He's been playing with Atlanta, so you got to give him a break. But
yeah,
I mean, D Hop's been dominant. He kind of disappears sometimes this year, and then you have I'm not blanking, but the other receivers. I mean, he's really just looked. I don't know,
head and shoulders
the best.
Yeah.
Especially if you play fantasy, he's just been killing it in fantasy.
Yeah.
So.
Now it's always annoying. Not a good time when you go against Devontae Adams in fantasy.
But so yeah, I definitely think that's something that if he keeps his pace up, which being the only target in Green Bay, that's a good possibility. If he keeps this pace up, we might have to call him the best receiver in the league.
I think I'd definitely be willing to. Yeah, he's on that track right now.
Season's definitely shaking up the top 10 position ranking. I mean, we'd have to when we look at it after the end because we definitely have to do that episode where we just go back and we look at it.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a terrible episode because
Devontae Adams is currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's 7th in the league in receiving yards, and I think he's either. I think he's tied for second.
Didn't he?
I think he's tied for like second. I want to say in receiving touchdowns.
And he missed like 3 games.
Yeah.
Which is just ridiculous. But I don't know. I just couldn't believe it. Speaking of Julio, earlier, Falcons. Man, they beat another team.
They almost blew another lead. They beat the Broncos. That was not a fun game to watch. Like the entire first 3 quarters were just Falcons. It was like, okay, this was expected. We didn't have our 2 top corners were out of the game, AJ Boye and Bryce Callahan. So it was 2 rookies and 3rd-round pick Michael Ojemudia and undrafted rookie Sang Bassi, and also I believe former undrafted corner in Devontae Harris having to guard Julio Jones. Thank goodness Calvin Ridley was out for the game. Otherwise, this would have been a much worse slough-looking game than it already was. Broncos couldn't do anything offensively, especially run the ball. That was atrocious. Drew Lock looked absolutely abhorrent throughout the first 3 quarters and only really turned it on in the 4th quarter. Drew Lock, he's frustrating to me. He has so much potential. Like you can see it when he's on and he's playing well, but he's just so inconsistent. He like only shows up in like the second half. He doesn't show up at all in like the first half of games. Maybe he'll show up at the end of the 3rd quarter, it's just frustrating to watch. You really want to see that consistency from him if you really want to be a franchise quarterback. I'd want him to be the franchise quarterback, but he needs to show a lot more consistency. I actually saw an article earlier that said Drew Lock is the most aggressive quarterback in the NFL with throwing 20, 20 plus yards downfield on 18% of his throws while averaging a 10 8 while averaging 10 air yards per toss. So I that's one thing I really like about Locke is how aggressive he is. It makes it not only is it like more exciting to watch, but also gives our receivers better chance to go out there and make plays instead of just having to go underneath, which we've been doing these past few seasons with Case Keenum, Joe Flacco, Trevor Siemian. That has really annoyed me. We never really pushed the ball downfield. Now Locke is doing that, which I like, but he's still extremely inconsistent and extremely raw. So as of right now, I'm not totally against drafting a quarterback early on in this year's draft. Zach Wilson. I'm sorry, I just got a cough there. Um, I also want to put an F in the chat for our rookie tight end Albert Okwuegbunam. Drew Lock's pretty much number one target as soon as we actually started playing him, surprisingly. He's been amazing, except for run blocking. But dude suffered a torn ACL during this game. He's out for the rest of the season.
Yikes.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed when watching Broncos games, I mean, I haven't watched a lot of them because, well, the Broncos games, but the one thing I've noticed is that their run game just, I don't know. Lindsey's a great running back, but I just feel like he's not being utilized.
He's not being utilized properly, and he's been having some injury concerns as well, especially this season of all seasons. He's been injured like already 2 or 3 times already this season.
I know the box score isn't the only thing, but that's kind of what I go off sometimes when I'm making, these scripts and I'm, making my judgments on what I'm going to say. There's been a lot of games where Philip Lindsay has like 20 yards and he's the leading rusher, or Locke will be the leading rusher with 40-something yards.
Yeah.
And that's just something that I've noticed is that, and when I watched a little bit of the game because I was bored, and I watched a little bit of the game, I was like, whenever he runs the ball, he just doesn't have that same burst. You know what I mean? And that definitely just normally shows an injury. But hopefully, Lindsey can bounce back because the Broncos need that running game to make that play action deep ball deadly.
Yeah.
Without that run game, the deep ball is just it's 50-50.
Yeah, because that's what Drew Lock's at his best. He's at his best, bootlegging on play action outside the pocket. That's actually one of the ways that the Falcons did a really good job of actually beating the Broncos offense was forcing Drew Lock to stay inside the pocket because he's at his best outside the pocket and he really needs to improve inside the pocket.
Oh. So I think the most fun game of the week. Again, this team is so fun to watch. The Panthers and the Chiefs play. I just love watching Carolina. I love watching Carolina play. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because it's Bridgewater and he's finally getting his shot at quarterback. I really like watching the Panthers team. McCaffrey came back and then he got hurt late in the fourth. He's going to be out for next week. But they put up a good fight against the Chiefs. They were always kind of one step behind. And maybe without a turnover or two, they probably win the game. But
yeah.
Oh, man, they look good. I really loved it. And I really hope that Bridgewater can keep this up. Because I really do think Carolina is 1 or 2 pieces away on defense from most likely being a playoff team. I think that NFC South is going to be the Panthers in a couple of years. I think the Saints and the Buccaneers are eventually going to fall off. I think it's just a matter of when.
Yeah, Carolina's been impressive, especially this game. It was a great game. Like, Carolina had a chance to tie the game. At the very end of the game, they got a last-second touchdown. They just couldn't convert on the 2-point conversion, which ultimately won the Chiefs the game.
Yeah. And something that I think is interesting to point out, and this is an interesting debate that was going on. So PFF released their top 3 quarterbacks by grade for the half of the season, and the top 3 was Rodgers, Wilson, and surprising some people with Brady, the number 3.
Really?
I think Mahomes was like 5th or 6th, and the reason is part of PFF, which I think is an interesting stat. If you have time, look up the stat. It's called turnover bowl, or
Turnover worthy
Passes that
plays.
happen, and it's yes, turnover worthy plays. I don't know why I was thinking something different. I love that stat because it shows the drop picks.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of drop picks this year, and that's just an eye test, and you can see he had like 2 picks dropped against New England. He had like a couple against the Raiders. One was picked, like he had 2 or 3 that were dropped, and they count those, and people were going off about it on Twitter. They were just going off saying, "Oh, how can you not have Mahomes in the top 3?" And it's one of those things where Mahomes gets a little overrated because people just think he's perfect. He definitely still has issues in his game, and I think that's just something that defense is starting to find out. They're starting to find out that if you blitz him a little bit, he's get a little uncomfortable. He does not like tight man-to-man coverage. If you can find a way to play tight man-to-man, which is easier said than done on the Chiefs, you can. It gives him fits. Yeah, I thought that was interesting that he wasn't in the top 3 PFFs quarterbacks.
I want to propose to you a question while we're talking about like top quarterbacks. As of right now, would you put Joe Burrow inside the top 10?
Easily.
I'd agree. Yeah.
I would almost put him in the top 5.
I'd probably place him near that too.
I can't think of if I had to think of 5 better quarterbacks that are playing right now over Burrow, it's Rodgers, Wilson, obviously, Mahomes, and then you kind of have to stop. And when you have to stop thinking about something, normally that means there's an argument. Beside those 3, Burrow's right there. I mean, you could put Big Ben there. You could put some people would say Matt Ryan. I wouldn't agree with that, but he's been playing really well. Easily top 10. I think you could make a case for top 5.
I also have some stats that I found. Like halfway through the season, the highest the teams with the top 5 teams with the highest rate of sort of like different sort of defensive coverages. So for cover 1, the top 5 teams in highest percentage of coverage snaps are Jaguars, Patriots, Falcons, Lions, and Cardinals. For cover 2 zone, Colts, Raiders, Packers, Vikings, Bills. Cover 3 zone, Panthers, Chargers, Giants, Washington, Dolphins. Cover 4 quarters, Packers, Washington, Bucks, Browns, 49ers. Two man deep, 2 man under. Saints, Giants, Chiefs, Broncos, Cardinals. Cover 0, Chiefs, Dolphins, Ravens, Bucks, Pats. And then the highest blitz rate, 5 or more rushers, Bucks, Steelers, Cardinals, Ravens, Dolphins. I thought it was interesting that I didn't see Seahawks anywhere on that list. Especially, I'd expect them to see them in the cover 3 category. So I don't know where they lie.
Yeah,
because their defense is atrocious.
I think the most telling part of that stat was the cover 4.
The quarters,
where you named 4 teams whose defense has been completely like below average this season, and then you name the Niners, who had a really good defense last year. You're like, huh. That's a little. But yeah, oh man, poor Seahawks. Their defense it's just not it, man. It's not a Pete Carroll defense at all.
Is he even play calling for the defense? Is he still?
I couldn't imagine. So I have to look up, but I don't.
He probably should be at this point. He really needs to get his defense back there.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely going to hurt the Seahawks come postseason time. They can't fix it because you can only outscore teams for so long until it gets 10 degrees outside.
Especially in the playoffs when you need a strong defense, or at least a more than serviceable defense. Because the playoffs is when defense becomes most important.
Yeah,
playoffs and overtime.
Offense wins regular season, defense wins championships. That's kind of I think in my opinion that's how it goes.
Yeah, I've heard another version of that is like offense puts butts in seats, defense wins championships.
Yeah, Then again, you could be like the Chargers and be number one in both and miss the playoffs because your special team
Yeah,
sucks.
because your special team's absolutely atrocious. Yeah, that's true. Shout out to what was that, like the 2011 Chargers or something like that?
Yeah, it was 11. They were first in offense, first in defense, 32nd special
I
teams, and they
couldn't
missed the playoffs.
imagine being a Chargers fan during 20 but I couldn't imagine being a Chargers fan in general. Shout out to the
They
Chargers
lost like something
fans.
like 8 one-score games.
Yeah, that sounds about on par with how the Chargers are.
Yeah, like they just keep losing one-score, and that still rings true this year. They just
Yep.
always lose close games. Speaking of which, we had another rookie quarterback.
Another
debut
sixth
this
round
week.
pick from Jacksonville, Jake Luton.
Jacksonville needs to keep every single year. They need to draft a QB in the 6th round, and they automatically need to trade him because every single quarterback they draft in the 6th round is just good.
Yeah, last year is
Jake-
Minshew. This year it's Jake
Jake
Luton.
Luton looked
Luton.
good. Now, granted, it was versus Houston, and everyone looks good versus Houston. I understand that, but he looked great. He was making good reads. He made one little rookie mistake on an interception where he was kind of just forcing the ball, a hero ball, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
Beside that, he had a great debut, and they almost won too. So I'm wondering if they're gonna keep Luton in. Luton, whatever his name is.
Luton.
Luton. Listen, I pronounce everyone's name wrong. Okay, this is how it goes.
And yeah, they'll probably keep him in because from what I've been hearing, that Minshew's been playing injured, and they just found out about the injury like last week, and I think he's out for like a few more weeks. I want to say.
And they're also not happy with him about it because he didn't tell anybody about it. Yeah,
I mean, honestly, you're a 6th round pick, and your team is potentially getting a top 5 pick, and this is a decent quarterback class. I think you probably want to keep as many opportunities as possible as you can in your hands to make that impact. Like, hey, I'm your guy. Let's not draft a quarterback. I don't blame Minshew, honestly. I don't blame him at all. Is it smart?
Yeah.
Probably not in terms of like long term, but he's trying to do what's best for his career, and I respect that. Can you stop messing with the Google Doc? I swear. I don't know how you do it that badly.
I don't even know either. Okay, so I think the most interesting game of the week was easily Steelers and Cowboys. Sorry, I had a fly in. I was trying.
The Steelers have
That
reverted
out
back
of the
to like their 2018 self, where they just always play down to their competition.
And it just amazes me because they should have beat the Cowboys by 40.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was the Cowboys are playing a 4th-string quarterback.
Garrett
The
Gilbert,
locker
former
room is
AAF
apparently the locker room, from what people were saying, is just terrible. The coaches are
They hate McCarthy. Yeah.
McCarthy's looking like a 1-year signing. You have all this, so they go out there and the Steelers barely win. It's the Steelers and they play down.
Yeah.
But oh my god, the game was beautiful. I watched most of the game. It was beautiful. First of all, Garrett Gilbert, man, he did his best. He was not the reason they lost. To be a 4th string and put up 20 points against the Steelers, he did his job. And the defense for the Cowboys just wasn't interested in playing the 4th quarter. But then I think what really kind of sold Mike McCarthy down the, and I feel like this is the move that's going to cost him his job come the end of the season. So they're up. I don't remember the exact one because it's a few days ago, but they were up, and they were up 4, and they had 4th and inches at Pittsburgh's 10. And it's the 3rd quarter, late in the 3rd quarter. What are you doing then? You go for it.
Go for it. Yeah.
You go for the throat because you go up 2 possessions, and you try to play keep away, or you just keep your foot on the gas. And McCarthy doesn't even give it he has his offensive coordinator. He has offensive coordinator Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
Saying, let's go for it. And he didn't even look at Kellen Moore. He just sent the field goal unit out there.
Oh,
they went up 7 and ended up losing them the game because if they had an extra touchdown, they win that game.
That's what happens when you play to not lose instead of playing to win. You cannot play to not lose in the NFL. You're going to lose every time. And I don't
And
get how coaches don't. Some coaches haven't recognized that and haven't learned from it. Because it's still a
and
problem that plagues the league. They just play not to lose. Let's play not to lose. No, you need to play to win.
And that's my thing is you'll have Doug Peterson going for it on 4th and 4 at the 40, which technically in an analytical point is the right move. And then you have this, which should be the most slam dunk, go for it, not even think about it.
Yeah.
You have these coaches going, yeah, no, kick it. And I think it's just a thing that most of these coaches, they just need to, understand. And I think that's why, at least in my opinion, most teams should have a guy that like just automatically tells you, boom, go for it, boom. And I feel like that's
An
something,
analytics
no matter
guy,
what the
like,
analytics
like
say.
the booth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just no, that just sits behind the coach and say, go for it. Go for it. Don't go for it. Kind of like that holdback coach for the Rams,
The devil
except
in
just
his
whisper in his ear,
go
hey,
for it.
hey,
Go
hey,
for it.
just freaking go for it and put him away. I don't know. Mike McCarthy, he just hasn't had a good season.
They just need Emperor Palpatine in their ear the whole time. Do it.
Well, they have Emperor Palpatine. He's the owner.
No, he's Bill
Anyway,
Belichick.
that's true. But what's it called? It was just insane to me that they and then once they kicked that field goal, it was over. Jalen Smith, he did not have a good day. He got caught for pass interference. He went offsides, and then to top it off, he got a roughing the passer call.
Yeah, he was
all
not
in
having a
one,
great
all in one quarter.
Yeah, he was not
Yeah.
having a great day.
He's probably lucky that COVID didn't allow fans to be there because he would have needed an escort out of AT&T Stadium. But Cowboys fans are blaming the refs, which was fun. But yeah, it's just Steelers need to. The Steelers aren't going to go undefeated. They need to really find a way to stop playing down to competition. This is the first time they really did it this season.
Yeah,
and
this is the first time
they can't do it again.
Season,
can't do it again.
I mean, as much as I like Mike Tomlin as a coach, at some point you have to figure that the problem why they keep playing down to competition is the coaching. Like, he's a good coach. It's just why they're always playing down to competition. You gotta kind of look at the coach for that.
And that's the thing is Mike Tomlin, and then you say that, but then you realize that he's never had a losing season. So it's really hard to pinpoint why they do it. And it's just something that they have to figure it out. Because, again, come playoff time, it's going to come back to bite them.
Oh, yeah.
I think you want to know a little funny stat to just kind of pop up. The Eagles are, 3-4-1?
Yes.
They have a better chance of making the playoffs than the Steelers.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing that. That's crazy. I remember seeing
a 3-4-1 team has a better statistical chance of making the playoffs than an 8-0 team.
That's crazy.
Welcome to the 2020 NFL season.
Welcome to the NFC East.
FC least. Gotta say it right.
Welcome to the garbage division.
Skip Bayless on Twitter was hilarious.
I don't think I even follow Skip Bayless on Twitter.
I don't. It's just always whenever the Cowboys is trending, like the Cowboys game is trending, he's always there, and it's great entertainment. He was screaming. I don't know why he types in all caps, but he does. Dude,
for that
we
emphasis, you got to get that emphasis in.
We get it, dude. So the Dolphins. There's no reason why this Dolphins team should keep winning.
They're 2-0 with Tua.
Stop. Not doing it. We're not doing it. We're not doing that. No.
I mean, Tua's not playing fantastically, but he's getting the job done, and they keep winning somehow.
Brian Flores is doing a hell of a job.
Yeah.
He's looking like him and Vrabel are the two best Belichick disciples right now. I knew Flores last season when he won like 5 games with that awful team. I knew they were going to do something.
Yeah, and we were both
I didn't think that
during the offseason.
I didn't think that something was a possible playoff berth. And when I said something, I was like maybe 7 wins, and you beat the Patriots. They're gonna beat the Patriots. They're gonna beat the Patriots later this year. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
The difference between Miami and New England this year is just crazy. I mean, you have the Dolphins who have all the momentum in the world, and you have New England who we're gonna be talking about later.
Yeah, the Dolphins are 5-3. I don't think that's something that either of us had. I had them like going like I think 7-9 this season, which I think even you said was a bit bold. But they're
Yeah.
5-3 right now.
And as long as they keep winning, and they still have Fitzpatrick as a backup in case Tua either aggravates that injury or he starts faltering, they still have a veteran quarterback that can step in.
I also
But
saw
can we talk about?
I also saw something how the Broncos are still technically have a chance of making playoffs. They're technically the 10th.
Jesus.
They're the 10th seed in the AFC right now.
Jesus. It's like saying New England's going to make the playoffs.
I think New England was actually the 11th seed.
That's pathetic. Jeez. No, can we talk about how good Kyler Murray is?
Yeah, Kyler Murray had a Michael Vick-esque game in terms of statistics.
Having a Michael Vick-esque season.
Yeah.
He's on pace for over 4,000 and over 1,000, which is that's never been done before. No one's ever thrown for 4,000 passing yards and rushed for 1,000.
Kyler Murray is that dude.
It looks like it's going to happen this season if he keeps it up. I still think the Cardinals, like I said in the preseason, they're a defense away from like a deep postseason run. I just don't see that defense in the playoffs. That defense is going to get embarrassed if they make the playoffs. It's way too soft. Chandler Jones can only do so much for your defense. I think he's hurt, if I'm not mistaken. I think he has like a bicep injury. I think that's why they're not doing too good on defense. But I'd have to double check. That's just by a gut feeling. But yeah, Kyler Murray has definitely proven that baseball was not the right sport. Remember the group of people that were saying he should have gone to play baseball? Yeah, that was the wrong choice. That was not the correct answer. And I've been really surprised with Cliff Kingsbury. I'll be honest. I was not all in on Cliff Kingsbury. He was coming up into the NFL. He's been great for the Cardinals. I've been really impressed with it.
Oh yeah, he's been doing well, especially with Kyler.
Yeah. And especially with just the team. I mean, you don't hear anybody complaining about him, the locker room, or anything like that.
Yeah, they've seemed to have turned that culture around pretty well, and in a pretty short amount of time too.
What 2 years ago they had
Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen. Who was the coach?
Steve Wilkes.
Oh, poor Wilkes. Isn't he like in Cleveland or something now?
I don't know.
I don't know where he is. I think he's like, is he like
Cleveland? Yes, he's a defensive coordinator for Cleveland.
Yeah, how do I remember that? But I can barely remember like some quarterback's name. Like, how do I remember where I heard Steve Wilkes was going to Cleveland? I don't remember ever hearing that. Oh my god!
I also want to also give a quick shout out to Daniel Jones. He had his first career game without like a turnover lost. Albeit he fumbled twice, but they were both recovered by the offense. So he didn't have a single turnover lost this first week in his career.
Good job.
The pettiest clap I've ever heard right there, ladies and gentlemen.
It took you what, 20-something games, 25 games?
A lot.
Congratulations. Yeah, the Giants should definitely be looking to draft a quarterback.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friend about this, and this is kind of an off topic, but I feel like it's our place. There's only like 4 NFL teams that shouldn't draft Trevor Lawrence. They have the chance.
Yeah.
You don't have a young quarterback, and they're like under like the age of like 26, and you have a chance to draft Trevor Lawrence. What are you doing? Like there's no reason not draft Trevor Lawrence unless you just have like Patrick, or you have like a guy like Burrow or
Mahomes.
Well, yeah, but the Chiefs and Ravens aren't going to be. But like, unless you have a quarterback that's really, like, even the Eagles should draft Trevor Lawrence if they have the opportunity. In my opinion, they
Even
should.
the Chargers should draft Trevor Lawrence if they had the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Herbert,
Herbert's looked well, I'll say that.
when
But
you said
against
earlier, would you
Trevor
put
Lawrence,
Burrow in the top 10? But when you said, would you put Burrow in the top 10 in this season? You know who immediately went to my mind? Said I would put Herbert in the top 10 too. At least what I've seen this season, I would put Herbert in the top 10. Well, probably, but I would.
yeah, I think
From what I've seen this season, I think he's been great. I feel like Burrow, he's going to win Rookie of the Year, barring an injury or something like that, which I hope doesn't happen. But with that offensive line, you never know. I feel like Herbert is so deserving of the award too. He's played really well, and both of them. It's crazy that we had both Burrow, Herbert, and Tua in that first round. If they keep going, all three of them are going to be really good. Just something you don't normally see. I don't know. I would put Herbert up there, but yeah, there's not a lot of teams that should skip on Trevor Lawrence. Draft Trevor Lawrence, please. New England. Did you win?
It's not going to happen because the Jets got the #1 pick. Your best chance would be trading for Trevor Lawrence. If Trevor Lawrence says no to the Jets, it's like, trade me. I'm not playing for you. If he pulls an Elway.
I wish. I hope.
I really wish. I really wish Lawrence would pull an Elway. I do not want him to go to.
I don't want him in the AFC East. Like, I don't care if you go to the Jets, bro. Just please don't go to the AFC. Please stop. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Ravens, what are you doing?
Struggling.
Done? Stop. Talk about me messing up the Google Docs.
What am I doing? I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes, you are.
I'm just highlighting stuff with my cursor. I'm not actually moving anything.
I know it's annoying. Anyway, this game was so boring. The Ravens-Colts game.
Phillip Rivers attempt at a tackle.
The Ravens beat the Colts, and Phillip Rivers doesn't know how to tackle. That was pretty much the game.
Yeah.
That tackle was funny. He got ran over.
He didn't even get run over. He put himself on the ground, then raised his arms up to try and make a tackle while on his back like a turtle. If you put a turtle on his shell, that was Phillip Rivers on his back.
Oh my God. I remember seeing that replay. It was great. Yeah, poor. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Colts, speaking of which, they're about to kick off against Titans here soon.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're just. I'm not sold on it yet. I know they're like what 5-3, but I'm just not sold on them as a legit playoff team.
Rivers is way too inconsistent.
Yeah, and
that defense has been pretty inconsistent too, but it's still a good defense.
Yeah, that defense has done me well in fantasy, I must admit. Mainly because they play the AFC South.
Yeah, that's a big help.
Yeah. But let's go on to the game that was just awful. This is what made the NFL week terrible. Normally, you have 1 or 2 games a week that highlight this.
Both of our game of the week. Yep.
And our game of the week, we hyped this up. We were like, this is going to be the game. This is going to be it. It's the only thing you need to watch. And the Saints and Buccaneers played a slaughter that was barely a football game.
Yeah, that was surprising.
Barely a football team. And, you know, I think a lot of people were predicting the Bucs to pull up an upset. I don't even know what happened. You can't even explain that in words because I don't know what happened. It was, what, 38-3? It was Brady's, worst loss of his career. Threw 3 picks. The Saints...
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
If ever, when was the last time that Tom Brady had been swept by a divisional rival?
Never.
It's never happened?
Never happened. This is the first time.
Let's go, Saints! Let's go.
It was just embarrassing. And I watched it, and I watched Brady sail a few easy deep throws. I saw him throw to double coverage to Antonio Brown for absolutely no reason.
Keep Antonio Brown happy.
There was no way to. There's no words to describe it. It was just a complete word I like to use for it. It was just a shellacking. It was embarrassing. I turned it off in like the second quarter. I couldn't watch it. I felt bad. I felt bad for the Buccaneers. Oh my god, it was brutal.
So is it
And
time that I tell you what the name of this episode is right now?
sure,
Brady is deflated. That's
but
the name of the episode.
got it. You get it. You get it because he deflated footballs. You get it. Laugh, laugh. It's funny. It's funny. You laughing? I didn't hear you.
The
laughing.
joke itself isn't funny, but your reaction is what it's funny.
Yeah. See, all right, you laughed. Okay, good. All right. Our viewers gonna laugh. Okay, good. Okay. Anyway, um, that's how boring the week was. We have to actually put our own comedy in for this week.
I mean, that's something I try and do every week.
I know, but I feel like that was the first funny moment we've had on the podcast. Oh my god. Anyway, I can actually laugh at Tom Brady deflate jokes now because he's not on the Patriots, so I can laugh about it. What was I saying? I was about to say something. I had a great transition.
If we want to talk about another embarrassing loss, the Bills in the Seahawks game. Wow.
Oh no.
Wow.
Oh, no.
Josh Allen looks back in form. The Seahawks look like they're getting bent over and spanked.
Seahawks defense looks primed and ready for that Division II championship. Tell you what.
Maybe Division II of NCAA football. Oh Lord, that was not pretty.
I literally just kept watching the scoreboard as I'm watching another game. I'm like, all right, come on, Seattle, come back. And then they would come back, and then Josh Allen would score a 2-play touchdown. You're like, all right, Seattle, come on, do it again. Russell Wilson scores a touchdown. Seattle lets up another 2-play touchdown. Like, you want to make an attempt, you want to. I feel bad.
Actually, try.
This was Jamal Adams' first game back, and they did not look any better. It's just they don't. The linebackers are terrible. The front seven has absolutely no pressure.
Yep.
The corners are decent. Trey Flowers and Shaquille Griffin do their best, but when you have to guard someone for 8 seconds, they're going to get open eventually. Yeah. And the safeties are just not good.
Pass coverage and pass rush are things that go hand in hand. You have to have one, otherwise you can't. If you don't have one, you don't have the other. You have to have both
New England.
A solid defense.
We'll talk about New England later. That's an issue that New England has.
I'm gonna have to mute my mic again so we can have another weekly rant.
This might be the longest rant because I actually I wish you would have watched the game.
I wish
you would have watched the game.
I wasn't able to. I saw like the last few minutes on the fantasy app.
I watched
what was happening.
I watched the full game. Believe it or not, I watched all of that game. How I did, I will never know. I watched it all, and I watched it with a couple buddies. And let me tell you, I was not happy. Okay, when we won, I was pissed. And
we'll
get into that.
My other friend is a Patriots fan. He was pissed when they won too. I was like so happy. I said, "Let's go Patriots." I'm like, "That's the first time you probably ever heard me say that in your life."
Probably.
And it's probably the only time too.
And this is another week of the Bears are pretenders. Stop saying
Bears have been pretenders since week 1.
Every week I see someone say, "Oh, them Bears, they're going to be pretty good in the playoff." No, they're not. Stop it. Stop. I think Foles, I don't know, man. Foles just needs to sign a lifetime deal with Philadelphia.
At least Foles is more aggressive downfield than Trubisky is.
Yeah, but at the same time, the team played better under Trubisky.
They're both bad.
Team played better under Trubisky. The way I say, I don't know. There's no right answer. It's like you have two piles of turds in front of you, and one's shiny and one's not. And you got to pick the difference between the two. And you're like, well,
and not to
they're
mention,
both turds.
Matt Nagy's play calling has been atrocious.
He's still not giving that up.
No.
It's not 2017 anymore.
Honestly,
Matt
Nagy should be on a hot seat so to say.
But see, that's the thing is if they make the playoffs and God forbid they somehow win a playoff game, his job's safe.
I mean, it's
And that
not
voice
unheard
crack
of
too.
that happening. It's not
Yeah,
unheard of that happening because I remember,
Titans it happened.
yeah,
Mike
Titans it happened,
Malarkey.
Broncos it happened. Like after Super Bowl 48, we fired John Fox and picked up Gary Kubiak, even though we had just went to the Super Bowl. No, wait, it was
John Fox
no, we we
isn't
hired
John Fox still?
we fired Fox after 2014 when we lost in the divisional round, and then we hired Kubiak.
Kubiak wasn't a bad coach. He was just a
Yeah,
little inconsistent.
yeah, and he absolutely had to have his offensive coordinator with him at all times. And if you don't know who his offensive coordinator is, his name's Rick Dennison, and he's a terrible offensive coordinator and should not be let anywhere near running an offense.
Yeah, Kubiak was a little.
He was very loyal, but that was also a downside of Kubiak. He was too loyal.
Okay, this is another one of those positions where I think we were. This one we were closer on, but we weren't correct. Alvin Cook has been on another planet this season.
Him and Aaron Jones.
Actually, Aaron Jones, yeah, the top three in rushing leader. I think you'll find this funny. This is kind of verbatim, but this is very close. Dalvin Cook has like 860 yards.
Yep.
Derrick Henry has like 840 something.
And then it's like
850.
Josh Jacobs with like 500 something, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, I remember seeing that graphic. That's crazy.
Oh my! Like the
And
offense.
Derrick Henry was struggling to start off the season.
Yeah. Well, the Titans are still finding ways to not use Derrick Henry, which is insane. I'll be like, oh, we're up 7 in the third. Time to play action. Yeah, I mean, that's what the Titans do, but stop it. Stop it.
I'm not doing anything.
But yeah, so would you say now, and this is a huge hypothetical, but if Dalvin Cook keeps this up, which for my fantasy sake, I hope he does, but if he keeps this up, it's running back in the game, especially with Saquon's injury. McCaffrey's starting to run into injury issues. I think him and Henry are the 1-2, and then Aaron Jones is probably the number 3.
Yeah,
at least for me.
Yeah, I think you could definitely make that argument and have it be a pretty good argument after this year, to say the least.
Yeah, Dalvin Cook, hey, fantasy, he's been great for me. Too bad my team sucks, but at least Dalvin Cook is eating every week. Where'd the Google Doc go?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Stop it. This game didn't really matter. It was, as a urinating tree would say, it was a tank bowl. If you watch urinating tree.
Stop. Just stop.
Tank division.
Just stop.
What
are you doing?
I wish we could actually keep this up, like on the.
I mean, I
that would
could.
be hilarious.
I could.
That would be hilarious. But the only thing that was really happening in this game was Kyle Allen got sacked, and Jabril Peppers rolled over his ankle and kind of twisted it the other way.
That was unfortunate. Yeah. It was a minor fracture, but he still broke his ankle, unfortunately.
So he could come back like near the end of the season, but he has to have surgery on it, so he's going to be out at least 5-6 weeks. Alex Smith took over. He had a decent game, but wasn't spectacular. The fact that he can still play is just killing me.
He's probably going to play out the rest of the season because I don't think they're going to let Dwayne Haskins touch the field again.
If they let Haskins touch the field again and he sucks, his trade value is just going to plummet.
Yeah, it's going to plummet.
Now it's still not very high. It's probably what.
It's probably like
I would say the
pick.
max a team would pay is like a low second. It's like the max I would see a team pay.
Yeah, I'd probably say the same. I said a third.
What has Haskins shown in his 2 years? or his year and a half. He's shown that he's just like Daniel Jones. That's it.
And less mobile Daniel Jones.
They have about the same decision making, the same arm talent.
Yeah.
They're pretty much identical. But yeah, so Alex Smith's gonna start the season. I don't know, man. I just like watching him play, but he's definitely not. He's definitely more of a backup now at this, especially with that injury. Definitely a backup, but hey, he's gone out there, the NFC least, and knows. So I just hope he doesn't get injured again. Hopefully.
Anyone getting injured is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Unless their name's Tyreek Hill, then go ahead.
So, final game before the historic rant. It was a crazy game. The Raiders and Chargers, they just were going back and forth the entire game. I wasn't able to watch much of it. I watched the end of it when Herbert had that injury scare. Now, I'll be honest, I was a little worried, but he's fine, thankfully. And I think it was just a minor ankle injury. Didn't even say minor. But
yeah. Herbert looks like he has some ice in his veins.
He is cold. He's a cold man.
I guess his new nickname could be Sherbert instead of Herbert because he's cold.
Anyway,
Justin Sherbert.
Okay. Anyway, my condolences. So, quick news. This isn't about the Patriots, but it's sad. Journey Brown. It was a sad week. I was going to do that
after right
you want to do it? Go do it. Go do it. Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to do that, and then I'll lift the mood with the Patriot rant.
Okay, so Journey Brown, the running back for Penn State. Earlier in the season, he was diagnosed with some sort of heart problem, so he's being medically forced to retire from the game of football, which is honestly terrible. I had him currently as my number 6 draft eligible running back, with the potential to jump up to number 3 behind Najee Harris and Travis Etienne. I just feel so bad for the dude. Apparently during his time when he had found out, he was serving as an assistant running back coach for Penn State. So hopefully he'll be able to stay in the game some way as probably a coach. Hopefully he gets to stick around. But yeah, that just sucks to see such a promising career end so shortly. And it wasn't even like they found it during a routine, a COVID test. It wasn't like anything scary had happened. I just F in the chat for Journey Brown.
Yeah, it sucks. And he was great too. I didn't know too much about him again because I'm not the biggest college guy. So, but when it happened, I decided to no, this is. But I looked up some of his highlights, and he was filthy.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just hate to see. And then also another little tragedy thing. I hate to bring down the mood like that, but Corey Davis's brother passed away.
Oh yeah, yesterday. Yeah.
And
he's gonna be playing tonight too. So hopefully we can see Corey Davis have some sort of like Brett Favre-ish game where he just goes off in memory of his brother.
I hope, man. I feel bad for the guy, man. And his brother was a damn good receiver.
Expect emotions to be high for the Titans tonight. Actually,
right now.
Let me try. The game actually just started.
All right, let me raise the mood. Boy, this week was a mess. So this is what week 4 of the Patriots rant. Week 5, I think I started on the losing streak. I'm gonna keep this up because the Patriots suck. So we start off, and the Jets have like a really long drive, right? Go out and score. AC Jackson, I've been gassing him up all season, right? He didn't really want to show up against Rashad Perriman. Rashad Perriman just cooked his ass all night. Had like 2 touchdowns, had like 110 yards. It was gross. Flacco was dotting us up the first 3 quarters. Every part of our defense sucked. Secondary sucked. Pass rush was non-existent. Linebackers are still terrible. Everything sucked. Play calling was iffy. So I'm gonna skip forward. Kobe Myers filled out Cam on so many passes, and our only bright spot on offense, Damian Harris, got hurt. So ended up winning. Grudgingly, I didn't want us to win. I even predicted a loss for the game. We ended up winning. It wasn't really that good because if we struggle with the Jets, one of the worst teams that the NFL has seen in the past 10 years, we're not winning anything this season. That win meant absolutely nothing. Yeah, we scored 30 points again for the first time since the Seattle game. Hey, it was disgraceful, and it's not Patriot football. And Cam Newton still didn't look good. He had a couple nice rushes. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, but his throws weren't very consistent. He wasn't stepping into his throws. He was throwing flat-footed for most of the game for some reason. I don't know why. That's something he's never had that issue before. And then on top of all that, Jacoby Myers was the only good thing about the receiving core. Damari Bird is our number 1, 2, or is our number 2. It's a mess, man. It's a mess, and I don't know why we won. We're not going to win against the Ravens. We're going to be 3-6 after this week. It's embarrassing, man. It's the Broncos have a similar record, and I feel like they're 100 times better a team than we are right now. We are just that bad. We're terrible. That's the end of the ring. We are terrible. I wouldn't even like. People are putting us in the top 20 of the league, and I don't know how they're doing it.
We have the same record, 3-5.
But it feels like y'all have won like 10 more games, man.
Not to me. Not to me, it hasn't.
Dude,
to me, it feels like you guys have actually won more games.
And the only happiness I had watching the games was watching Damian Harris. Love Damian Harris. He's a good kid. I love his running style. And he got hurt. So this season has just been a mess, man. This is what we get for being good for 20 years. Just get completely slacked every game. Even when we win, we lose. Yeah. I think that's a great way to sum it up. Even when we win, we lose. So, who knows? I can't wait to see us lose to Baltimore. It's going to be fun. I could legitimately see us losing by 40 without even thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know why Cam has been throwing flat-footed. The Patriots games I hadn't watched. That's been really weird to see. Like his throwing motion has looked so awkward and uncomfortable. I don't know why he's doing that. He's so
Jacoby, man. The one thing we're finally doing is throwing the ball to goddamn Jacoby Myers. Why N'Keal Harry was ever starting over Jacoby Myers, I will never understood.
He was a first-round
pick. But Jacoby Myers in that, and again, I hate to dog on N'Keal Harry because he didn't even play. He has a concussion. I hate to dog on him. This is a point, right? N'Keal Harry would not have had that many yards in that game. He doesn't have the route running that Jacoby does. Jacoby is an undrafted receiver who couldn't earn the trust of Brady because his route running was iffy. So he improved his route running in the offseason a lot. And you go out there, and how do you start N'Keal Harry over him from what you've seen? I didn't understand.
The only
Jacoby
reason
Myers
is that N'Keal Harry's a first-round pick. That's the only reason you could start him over Jacoby Myers.
Literally, if you blindfolded me, right, and you didn't tell me anything about the team or anything about the players, and you told me Jacoby Myers was the undrafted rookie or undrafted first-year player, and you told me N'Keal Harry was the second-year first-round pick, I would have told you were smoking something. The difference in their skill is just night and day. Oh man, it's hard to watch. I just hope Jacoby, if anything else comes out of this season, I only want 2 things. I want Damian Harris to come back healthy and earn the running back job next year. I want Jacoby Myers to earn a spot in as the number 2 or 3 receiver next year. That's all I want. Season can go to hell. I just want those 2 things to happen. I'll be happy. I feel like those 2 guys are the only parts of the offense that are like good. Him hasn't been it. It's just not it.
Yeah.
People are talking about him re-signing. I don't see it.
You see people talk about re-signing Cam?
Stephen A. Smith and Woody having a debate. They said, should or first of all, should he be happy with signing? And Woody thinks that he should be grateful that he's in New England. Sorry, Woody, no. And he thinks that he should resign in New England. No,
No,
no.
no,
I think
no.
best case scenario for Newton is that over the last few games, he builds his trade value enough for us to trade him for like a fourth round pick.
He was only he was it was only a 1 year contract though.
You can franchise tag him and trade him. It's in his
Do you
clause.
really want to pay Cam Newton that much money to trade him away
It would
for
be
a 4th round pick?
would be a trade. Yeah, and we would negotiate the trade. I read that in the article from Mike Reese. Yeah, you can't. We could do it. There's a trade that we could do. Will we do it? Probably not. And his comp value right now would maybe be a fifth, maybe a fourth.
I just don't see
his
the
comp
reason to
value
take
would be.
down that much dead money just for a potential 4th.
If you trade, you can negotiate where the dead money goes.
Oh, can you really?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. It's not like Madden where if you trade, you're stuck with dead money no matter what you do. No, if you trade somebody, you can negotiate how the contract is split. What happened with I don't know if this is really old news. Kaepernick was on the Niners, and the Broncos wanted to trade for him, right?
Mhm.
So it was long.
I remember that.
But they couldn't agree. They couldn't agree on the financials. Who would eat what portion of the contracts, and that's why that trade never happened. It's because the Broncos wanted the Niners to eat like 30 million of it, and the Niners wouldn't do it. You can negotiate that. It's something
Elway,
that
thank you for being
You can
greedy.
negotiate.
Thank you for being greedy, Elway.
Yeah, that's why that trade never happened. That was when Kaepernick was on that $100 million deal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He never deserved that deal in the first place. He was never that good.
cancel culture is coming for you in 5 seconds.
I mean, just you could look at it. He got benched
Sorry.
for Blaine Gabbert.
5,
This isn't
4. You better run, bro.
I ain't scared.
Anyway.
I've said
Oh my
worse.
God.
Oh, okay.
So, after that beautifully sloppy week of football, do you have any hope for a game of the week?
Bills Cardinals. That's probably mine. Gronk.
Oh, sorry. I was reading something about the Titans game.
Bills Cardinals. That's mine.
Bills Cardinals for yours? Well, I have my game of the week. Because I feel like we were talking about it earlier. I think I am going to put it down. Bengals are going to walk into Pittsburgh and they're going to beat the Steelers. It's going to happen.
I definitely see that happening. I can definitely see that happening. If the
gonna be another-
Steelers play down to the Bengals, Joe Burrow absolutely has an opportunity to win that game.
I think you see it. I just get that. I had that feeling last week with the Jets. I was almost right. They don't get any almost points, but I was almost right about that Jets game. I think it's definitely the same this week. I just have that feeling where I think the Bengals are going to go in there, and I think they're going to upset the Steelers for their first loss.
Oh yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
I hope I get that game. I probably won't because I'm in Mississippi.
I probably won't get that game either.
I really hope I get that game.
I'll probably be stuck with. Actually, there might not be really any local during that time frame, so I might actually get that game. It'll be either that or probably Texans Browns, because that's the morning game. So it'll be Texans Browns or Bengals Steelers, because those are the closest ones.
I wish I got to use the term morning game. Must be a nice term to use.
10 a.m. 10 a.m. start time.
That's a nice term to use. I wish I could use that.
Yeah, it's kind of nice because then the night games are at 8. I mean at 5. Hey, but I live in California, so it's not all fine and dandy.
Yeah, maybe I should. Maybe I should do it.
Check your privilege, Southern boy. All right. So college player of the week for this week, I am going to go with someone a lot of people might probably have not heard of. It's not a high-profile guy. He's a projected 6th, 7th round pick. It'd be wide receiver out of North Carolina, Diami Brown. He is a junior. He is 6'1", 195 pounds. Um, he's a really good downfield threat, not downfield threat. He has good size. He's really good at tracking balls, like running himself underneath balls on deep throws. He puts himself in good position at the point of catch. He shields defenders off well. He's quick and physical after the catch too, so he'll get you some extra yardage. And something that's very underrated, he's fearless over the middle, especially on like crossers and slants. And he's a very competitive blocker for a receiver. His cons, however, his route running needs a lot of work. His release technique needs a lot of work. Like if he doesn't get a good release, he's pretty much already taken out of the play. He doesn't attack the ball consistently. He kind of like waits for the ball to come to him sometimes, and that's a bit of an issue. You want to see him be more aggressive to actually go and get the ball. He also has some drop issues. Every now and then he'll have like a, why in the world did you drop that kind of drop? So that's something else you need to watch for. Yeah, he's a projected 6th to 7th round pick. And I don't know if anyone is going to know this comp, but based off what I've read off his comp when he was coming out of college, it seems like a very good comp for me, just based off potential. The comp is former Georgia wide receiver Fred Gibson, drafted in the 4th round of the 2005 NFL Draft by the Steelers. The main difference is that Fred Gibson was 3 inches taller, but the flaws that I see out of Diami Brown, I've read out of Fred Gibson. So that's something to kind of watch for, because they both have pretty decent ceilings. They're both big, athletic, but they both had issues with route running, release, and dropping the ball.
That is an interesting comp. I would have never guessed that comp.
Yeah, that's what I told you. I was like, what do you know about the 2005 draft? I bet you can't guess who the comp is.
Yeah, that would have been like not even my top 10 guess, I'll be honest.
But it was a Georgia player, so I guess you had somewhat of a chance.
So, fantasy player of the week. This is such a bad move. I would do it if I needed a quarterback in fantasy. I would start Jake Luton. He's playing Green Bay. Green Bay. I think that's just kind of enough said. That defense is just not it. I would, betting on kind of like that Minshew magic from last season. Something about them 6-round quarterbacks. They're working up some type of magic in Jacksonville. Hey, now he's one of the few guys. Another guy that I'm kind of interested to see how he does. This is just purely because there's no other targets in New England. But Jacoby Myers against Baltimore, we're going to be throwing the ball out because we're going to be down by a lot. You're going to see a lot of garbage time stats from Jacoby Myers. And look at it. Who else is Cam Newton going to throw it to? Damari Bird? I mean, Damari Bird sucks. I'm sorry, Damari Bird. I know you don't listen to this, but stop. He's leading our team in receiving.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I said Damari Bird needs to stop.
Oh, you usually go stop to me, so I thought that was directed at me. I was like, I didn't say anything. I just laughed.
And the final fantasy player of the week, I'm gonna start doing this every week. Whoever's playing Seattle, start the Rams players. Start Goff. Start
Woods.
Henderson, I think, is the running back.
Darrell Henderson.
Start Cooper Kupp. Start Robert Woods. I don't care. Start Todd Gurley. I mean, even Todd Gurley's going to get 10 points from it. Just do it. Because the Seahawks defense needs to prove they can stop a nosebleed. I would pick on that defense every week. Imagine drafting Seattle's defense in fantasy this year. I don't know if anyone did that.
I don't think anyone in our league did. I think they're a free agent team.
Be tough, man. Oh yeah, Seattle defense always has good defense. Negative points every week. hopefully this week is better than last, because last week was just a mess, man.
Yeah.
So
We'll
if
see.
you're all going for your PlayStation 5s today, because
Just
hope you
don't.
had some.
You
I
get
hope
an
you had some
Xbox
luck.
Series
I
X
hope you had
instead.
some luck against the bots. No Xbox talking here. Stop it,
No gay station talk. Xbox only.
bro.
Philip Rivers just surpassed Dan Marino for fifth most passing yards in NFL history. Poor Dan Marino. That's all I'm gonna say.
You want to hear a wonky NFL stat?
Sure, I love wonky NFL stats.
Joe Flacco has more passing yards in his career than Joe Montana.
Yeah, I saw that. That just shows how much the game has evolved. Like Joe Flacco is nowhere near Joe Montana, but that just shows how much the game has evolved to passing the ball.
So Joe Flacco is elite.
Joe Flaccid.
Listen, bro, he's the best quarterback the Broncos have ever had. I can't think of another one.
I mean, according to our current president, Joe Flacco is elite.
Sorry, bro. I seriously can't think of another quarterback the Broncos have ever had that's better than Flacco. I can't.
You know, maybe Paxton Lynch. You could probably throw Paxton Lynch in.
No. You know, you really got to throw in Brock Osweiler, bro. I'm sorry, I forgot about Osweiler.
Chad Kelly.
No, bro. No. Trevor Siemian, dude.
How about
Okay,
Kyle Sloter?
Okay, embarrassing NFL take. I could let this NFL take die, but I'm gonna bring it up. To be honest, I like Trevor Siemian coming out when he was in the NFL. He was coming out of college. I like Trevor Siemian.
Okay.
I thought he could be good.
He was good for like a year or two.
I predicted him beating Paxton Lynch for the job, and everyone was like, "No."
Yeah, so did, like everyone was like, "Oh, this is Mark Sanchez or Paxton Lynch's job." I'm like, don't rule out Trevor Siemian. What happened? Trevor Siemian.
Yeah. He's still a backup. I just liked. I didn't know. It was something about his game where I just liked his college game. I don't know. It was weird. It was one of those things where I was like, Trevor Siemian could be something. He actually was for a year, and then he lost.
Yeah, where is even Siemian right now?
Oh,
last I remember of him, he was on the Jets, but I don't think that's where he is now.
Look it up, but let me try to guess. Look it up. But let me.
Okay.
He is either in Minnesota. Is that right?
Nope.
Minnesota?
I remember him being in Minnesota though.
Okay.
This is gonna surprise you.
Okay, no, it's not. I'm going to guess this on the next try. I'm going to guess this. He is on Rams.
Nope. He's a Tennessee Titan.
Guess. Titans backup?
Yeah.
I would not have guessed that.
No, I wouldn't have guessed that either.
My next guess was what was my next guess?
Because I remember as a Viking and a Jet, I did not know he got signed to the Titans.
Dang it. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, technically, Trevor Siemian has more Super Bowl rings than Dan Marino.
Oh, Jesus. Garoppolo has more Super Bowl rings than Rodgers.
Yes, that is true.
Speak it into existence.
I mean, it is in existence. You don't really have to speak it into existence.
But the Rodgers fans need to know that Jeremy Garoppolo is a better quarterback. I'm sorry. No, it's not. I apologize.
All right, we should probably end it here. We're at a minute,
I feel bad
hour
for
and 9
anyone that
minutes.
feel bad for anyone that actually listened.
It was probably more of our comedic episode because it wasn't really great.
Well, I should do the outro. Wait, did you end the episode already?
No.
Okay. God, what an episode. That just matched the week football. Well, anyway, if you guys listen this far, you guys are maniacs. But thank you again for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week. Hopefully, not a delayed episode. Next week on the Belichick's Bitches